Hello and welcome to Zixon01's channel, or also Rio Zixon as the channel name says. I'm your host, Zixon01, Zix, whatever you want to call me, I guess. I've decided since I did an audio rant as my first video that I feel like I'm going to start not arguing, but more putting points out for both sides of, what is it, controversies or groups that are all over the internet. Like some people hate this, some people like that, yada yada blah blah blah. And I've decided, wow, that was odd. I've decided to, I guess, play the devil's advocate. And that's what I've decided to call this little menage, or whatever you feel like calling it, of videos. So from here on out, I'm going to refer to this little series as the devil's advocate. And I hope you enjoy. The first thing I'm going to go over is, or at least the first subject I want to cover is, I guess, brownies, or My Little Pony in general. Because that seems to be a big one that a lot of people either get hate for or just disagree with in general. And it seems there's two groups: the group that hates it, and then the group that likes it. Or more or less, the group that hates the people who like it. To be honest, I can see why people don't like bronies, as they're called, quote unquote, because some of them can go a little bit overboard. I mean, yeah, sometimes it is a bit far when you've got, let's say, body pillows, posters, and all sorts of jazz all over your room. For sure, that's normally considered for the demographic of young girls, ages, what, 7 to maybe 13, possibly. Yes, that can be odd, especially when you're a male age 18 and above. Hey, people like what they want. That's what I'm going to put out there. But again, on the subject of against them, it is odd. But now, for the other side, for those people, how many of you actually have a hobby that's similar that you're obsessed with? I mean, me myself, I'm obsessed with video games. I love them. I've got well over 100 on a well-known video game site known as Steam. I've spent hundreds of dollars in one alone, even going as far to cosplay, for those of you who knows what that is. Those of you who don't, cosplay is called costume play, or cosplay for short, where you dress up as a character from a video game or an anime. Back on subject. I digress. How many of you have done that? It doesn't have to be necessarily for video games. There are people who collect guns, knives, cloth, art, money even. And yet you decide to look at this other person who collects memorabilia for a small children's show, and you look down upon them with disdain. Yet you do the same thing yourself. I mean, come on. Why look down upon someone else when you're doing the same thing? That's my for them. Now, once again, I'm going to switch back over to against them with the demographic. Yes, like I said earlier, the demographic is from 8 to, I said, roughly 13, I think it was. That's, how do I put this? What it was intended for. No, I don't necessarily always think you should be watching something that's not intended for your demographic. Because, I mean, come on. We have a rating system in place for a reason. Kids below a certain age aren't supposed to be watching mature films or playing mature video games. And usually, mature gamers aren't going to want to play games intended for younger audiences. Especially, like, let's see, what was it? Phonics Learning. What 30-year-old man is going to want to play that? I mean, come on. But that's my against. Once again, here is for. How many of you are age 15, 20, 25, 30, or anywhere in between those, maybe even older, still love Disney movies? No, not the new ones, even though they are okay. I'm talking about the old ones, like Aladdin, so Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. How many of you love those movies and still do? Now note, the demographic for those movies is for a younger audience. But look at your age now. You still love those movies, but you're above the demographic. How is it that you believe that you can like those movies, even though they're for a younger demographic, but not let someone else like a children's show that's for a younger demographic? There are plenty of people who watch anime, and oh, anime is for kids because it's a cartoon and all that jazz. But there are people who are 18, 20, 30, yada yada, blah blah blah. Once again, demographic is changed, and now they're watching it supposedly when it's supposed to be for younger. Granted, once again, with the similar occurrence of video games, there are some that are meant for the older demographic and some that are meant for the younger. It's just always that people are complaining about one thing, and yet they do the same thing themselves. It's hypocritical. I will admit that I myself am a brony. And yes, I'm trying to help both sides. But all in all, I just want people to realize that don't complain at someone before you look at yourself. To quote the Bible, I'm not a religious person myself. I'm currently agnostic. And I probably shouldn't even be mentioning religion, because that'll probably throw some people off. My apologies to you. But, as the Bible states, don't pay attention to the splinter in someone else's eye when you can't see the log in your own. Now what that means is, you notice someone else's problems, but you don't pay attention to your own problems. You could be horribly deformed, yet pointing out someone else's broken hand. Just as an example. Or you could be pointing out someone who's mentally challenged when you yourself have issues with society, to say the least. Or you might even be mentally insane. Who knows? It's just learn to accept each other for who you are. I know that's going to be hard because we're all the same. Like, oh, sorry, I messed that up. It's going to be hard, yes, to accept each other for who we are. But in all, when it comes down to it, we're all the same. We're all built from the same DNA, the same numbers. As if we were computer programs, all we would be is ones and zeros. Nothing but the same source code. It's just like this. Every book you've ever read is the exact same, or is a different combination of every letter in the alphabet. Every book. Take that to thought. That's all we are. It's just another book with another cover. Some of us may even be the same words on the inside. You never know. And how many books have you seen that are good for those of you who read? And how many different books have you read that are just absolutely terrible? Stop and think for a second that those same exact words are in both books, just arranged differently. For those of you who don't read, it's kind of similar to movies, I guess you can put it that way. You have movies that are action, sci-fi, all this other jazz. And you have movies that are romance, sappy, all that nonsense. Some people like action, some people like romance. But all in all, it's just different people acting different parts, but doing the same thing. That's all it is. Whether I like My Little Pony or not. whether you like it or hate it. Don't judge me for it, and I won't judge you. It's as simple as that. I guess that concludes the devil's advocate for today. I guess that's really all I've got. Honorable mention to a good friend of mine, Sker. He was the one who suggested me to use this subject as the starting point, and I have to admit it was probably a really good idea because it is a big one that a lot of people get onto about. Oh, and I will go into it further later on because he is going to help me. Right now, he can't because his mic is terrible, worse than mine. So, once he gets a better mic and once I get back to the States, I'm currently abroad, I will be able to record with him live and in person. Granted, probably without video, as usual. But I will end today's Devil's Advocate here, and please leave a comment, like. I doubt you're going to subscribe. I mean, this is only my second video. I mean, come on. But hey, for those of you out there, thank you for watching my video. Hit like, subscribe, whatever you feel like. And I will see you later. I will try to do one of these every week. Hopefully. Hopefully. Peace out. Have a good day, night, whatever. You're all awesome. I don't know what to say at the end. Okay.